guest believes that the response to COVID-19 has been manipulated by our ruling elites as a way to increase their power, as has the Black Lives Matter protests, cancel culture and much more. In a recent article entitled The COVID Coup, published in The American Mind, he suggests because of that, America is in fact facing a kind of coup d'etat. He's Angelo Codevilla, Professor Emeritus of International Relations at Boston University and a Senior Fellow of the Claremont Institute, a think tank in California. Professor Codevilla, thank you very much indeed for joining us. It's a provocative claim that we're facing a kind of a coup d'etat here. Can you very briefly explain what you mean by that? In particular, how all these events that we've seen in the last 6 months sort of fit together and are being used by powerful people in America to cement their power?
Well, look, begin with the fact that the COVID event is not primarily a plague. It's not a plague. I mean, this virus is being treated by there's no better way to describe it than the powers that be, from corporate America to the government, to the bureaucracy, as if it were a plague, and a plague it is not. Begin with that fact, and then move on from there. We do not have an official estimate, an official rendering of the infection fatality rate. That is to say, the government has not arrived at, has not come to an understanding of precisely what the percentage of persons who are infected by this virus die of it, but gives the impression that we are facing a terrible, terrible danger. In fact, all of the evidence, all of it, every last little bit of it that we have, tells us for sure that what we are facing is something very much like the flu, and not a terribly
serious,
virulent kind of flu.
So, Professor, I get it. So as a result, we've had to endure lockdown. Government has imposed lockdowns, and I think you also talk about
but
we have to,
and it goes beyond that.
Okay.
Listen, you can search the literature till the cows come home, and you will not find any reputable person who has ever thought that imposing quarantines on healthy people makes any sense whatsoever, and yet this is what is being done.
Can you tell us how the other events of this year impact? Because we're a little short of time.
And it follows then that you must ask cui bono, what good is it? Yeah. What good is it to have done all of this harm? And that is when the obvious answer, politics, crops up.
And you talk, and it's not just politics, though, but corporate. I think corporations, you say, who've been, signing up to Black Lives Matter, who've been sort of signing up to the measures that everybody's taking. Just again, very briefly, just tell us how these elites are increasing their power.
Well, just simply look at the amount of money that has flowed out of Main Street and gone into the biggest businesses in the country. The most obvious person, of course, is the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos, owner of Amazon.com. You have had countless restaurants, small shops simply put out of business, and the business has flowed to them. Look at any number of groceries that have been shut down, and look at what has happened to what has not happened to Costco and Walmart, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Professor,
none of this has any. The point is that none of this has anything to do with public health. But the biggest thing of all is look at what has happened to the churches, and how they have been shut down, and how there is now primarily a one-way system of communication in this country.
Right, I do
from television.
I
television and mass media.
It's a really fascinating piece. I recommend readers go and read it. It's in the publication The American Mind, The COVID Coup. Professor, thank you very much indeed for explaining that to us and putting all of this into context in a way that I think really helps us understand what is actually going on out there. Thank you very much.